So from Arizona, Phoenix area, okay, a retired science teacher, that ought to be scary enough right there, but America's favorite old guy. Put your hands together for Arizona Lou.
I'm going to have to teach him a little comedy etiquette. You always shake the hand of the comedian. Well, he'll learn, don't worry, he's young. I'm not. I want to thank you for letting an old guy up here. You ask, how old? How old? Ma'am, you don't really care, do you? I'm 79. Whoa! Can anybody beat that? No. Well, respect your elders then. I want to show you. Be sure to come Saturday. See this beautiful clean setup here? Yeah. It was a tangle of cords. They even vacuumed the carpet up here. So this is a brand new setup, so come Saturday and enjoy that. And be generous with your tips for the wait staff and the bar staff back there because they work hard, they do a good job. And I'm so glad to be here. I'm glad to be anywhere. And at my age, I do silly stuff. Like trying to still stay alive. Yeah, you're laughing now. Wait till you get my age. And, stay alive for the next 60 minutes. And I worry a lot about what's going to fall off next. And my last name isn't even Jenner. I spend a lot more time looking in front of the mirror looking for body parts. They're not saggy or wrinkled. I'm so wrinkled. The other day I had trouble adjusting my whitey-tighties. Until I realized I wasn't wearing any. Oh, I'm fashionable. Tonight they're stripy tighties. I just hope I don't fall asleep, which is unlikely with you guys. You guys are awesome. And I'm so awesome I want to invite you to come and spice up my funeral. Too late, it was last Tuesday. Well, let's get acquainted here. I travel across the country doing these comedy shows for veterans because I appreciate what they've done for our country. Thank you very much. And also the families. Give yourselves a hand. Let's hear it by applause if you were in the Air Force.
Well, good. We'll talk about them then.
Actually, they were late coming to the game. They had to wait for airplanes to be invented. Let's hear it if you're in the Navy. Did you know Navy is an acronym? N-A-V-Y. Stands for Never Again Volunteer Yourself.
Uncle Sam did.
Yep.
Volunteered.
And now it is volunteer, and we especially thank the people who volunteered. But when I was your age, when you got volunteered, they had the signs and posters. Uncle Sam pointed, "I want you." He looked at me and says, "Nah." I had asthma. Well, let's hear it by applause if you served in the Army.
Yeah.
You know Army's an acronym? It stands for Aren't Really Marines Yet. Now, I heard a lot of moans from Marines. Let's hear it by applause if you served in the Marines. Well, we'll talk about, did you know Marines? When you meet one of your Marines friends, remember this acronym. Marine stands for muscles are required, intellect not essential. Really do appreciate what you folks have done for our country. If I'm lucky, tonight I'll remember what I want to say. If you're lucky, you don't know how true that laugh is. If you're lucky, I'll wander off somewhere. Silver alert, silver alert. I could be famous. I could be on one of those highway signs. I just love those digital signs. You can get distracted without even using your cell phones. And they tell you such important information for your driving, like how many minutes to the next intersection that you don't know about or care about is not your destination. And if you knew the distance, you divide by the... Yep.
Uh-oh.
Is this something I'm doing or you're doing? And if you knew the minutes, you divide by the miles by the minutes, and you get the miles per hour. Or you could focus on your driving. And they have two messages now. They put two messages so they can distract you. Yep.
I don't know what that is, brother.
Okay, I can go to court if you want me to. 2 minutes so they can just. It's not the microphone.
It's not even enough, that's it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. They put two signs up so they got you twice with one sign. In Pennsylvania, they had one that said motorcycles. Orange, you glad you looked? I did at the sign. I had no idea how many motorcycles I took out. In Montana, they had one that said, construction zone, 26 miles, slow down. So I did. And I didn't get there until Thursday. I just hope I don't wander off to Chicago. Did you see the news there? Latest news, shootings are up 88% over last year. Murders are up too, but only 72%. Obviously, we need to give Chicago more gun classes. But you people here in Tennessee have terrible aim too. Yep, I can tell. Well, no wonder you don't have a target like Hanoi Jane. Let me explain to you people that don't know about Hanoi Jane. That is a sticker target they put in men's journals.
Oh my God.
And I know that you don't have Hanoi Jane around here, but you don't have good aim because there's always a little puddle down there. Yeah, well, that's water, folks. It might keep the microphone going.
Must be the cord.
Okay, well, he'll work on this for a while. I have a weak voice, so I do have to have a microphone.
This mic here is available
Okay.
if you'd rather.
Let's give this one a try and
I hate this shit on purpose.
now watch me stumble over the cord and fall off this stage. I could seriously hurt myself at that distance. Well, I went to Miami to do some comedy on Halloween. Yep, I was going to write a broom. This isn't what you think it is. I only wrote one little step higher than a broom, basic economy. Let's hear it by applause if you've ever flown basic economy. Well, then let me explain to you, rich people. Basic economy, you're last to get on the airplane after the standbys and the homeless. And when you get on, the overhead bin space is gone with the wind. Now I need to explain to you young people, that's an old movie with a lot of scarlet in it. And then they put me in a little narrow middle seat, which is okay because I have a little narrow middle butt. When I got settled in, I noticed coming down the aisle a BBW. No. Do you know what a BBW is? What is it?
Big woman.
Take your pick of the next word. One possibility is a big, beautiful woman. Yeah. One time I said that and I got in trouble for that. I don't know why. Well, because the show was run by a big, beautiful woman. Anyway, she was coming down the aisle, and this is the first time I saw, it reminded me of my first car. My car was a blue BW. And when she's coming down the aisle, it's the first time I saw a woman or a butt, take your pick, who could caress seats on both sides of the aisle at the same time. And I could tell by the glide in her stride that she was proud of her big butt. And she had the eye on the seat next to me. Well, in a strategic defensive maneuver, I eased the armrest down. And when she sat down on the seat, it shifted the CG of the airplane. And she didn't need the 7 seatbelt extensions they gave her. She was wedged in so tight, she wasn't going anywhere except to Miami. About 20 minutes into the flight, she had to go to the bathroom. It's the first time I saw her from the rear view. I don't think I'd ever seen so much spandex in one place. I take that back, 2 places, because she was a walking wedgie. I don't know how she got in the bathroom, but I did see her back in. Beep, 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 beep. About 15 minutes later, when she came out, she was rectangular. Looked like she just stepped out of the trash compactor. With wearing the imprint of the waist door. Backwards, of course. Her hip read Esta. Well, she was a nice lady. I had a nice visit once I realized that the only time I could inhale would be when she would exhale. Let's hear it by applause if you're over 45. Keep it going if you've had your colonoscopy. Well, those of you who haven't, you better hop to it because they save lives. I had my most recent colonoscopy without anesthesia. Oh, I am going to do the next one the same way. It was so successful. I did go the extra mile for the prep, though. You know, you've got to do lots of cleaning as well anyway. For the prep, I did some exercises with a butt plug. I don't know if the doctor noticed or appreciated it. Before he went in, he said, "Louis, I'm going to use some numbing gel." I didn't stop him in time. Wouldn't regular gel be more fun? I asked him to give me a play-by-play account, and laying there on my side, I'd never seen my butt in a big screen, in high def. And his probe was like a little train going through a tunnel with an air compressor to inflate the tunnel around the tight corners. And a big light, video camera, and pincers for picking up. He found a little tiny polyp, like picking up a mushroom. Rinsed it off with his garden hose, and then cleaned the whole thing up with his shop vac. Then they put me in a wheelchair and wheeled me out to the edge of the parking garage. I jumped out of the wheelchair, ran up to my van, drove myself to the grocery store, the gym, and then home. Just had a normal day. I'm going to do the next one the same way. The doctor said, well, Lewis, if it gets a little painful, because you have to inflate your intestines a little bit. If it gets a little painful, let me know and I'll slow down. So I did, and he did, and it was just fine. I enjoyed his account of what was going on. So I make up for my waning physical prowess with my superior senior stupidity. Doesn't that sound like Washington, D.C.? In my case, I picked up my electric toothbrush after I dropped it and brushed my teeth. Hey, I was just standing there. I hadn't done anything. I rinsed it off, and every week I cleaned the toilet. Let's hear by applause if you were a middle child. Anybody here? Okay, well then you understand I was a middle child, so we had kind of a tough childhood as a result of that. My older brother Stanley lived in Hutchinson, Kansas. And that's where we lost him. Never did find him. I guess he forgot to click his heels together. I need to explain to some of you young people, that's an old movie with a scarecrow and a little dog. Oh, and the witch. The witch's name wasn't Dana. Oh! Your name's not Dana either. It's Dana. Right? Yes. Give a hand for Dana. I can't wait. Yeah, she'll probably tear my t-shirt and make threads out of it.
Nah, target practice.
Yeah. Well, why don't you buy a picture too? Buy a picture. They're $10. I'll sign it, and then you can use it for target practice.
All right.
Yeah, a good deal. Well, anyway, Stan. That's where we lost Stanley. He was into supplements. And now he has the healthiest prostate of anybody in the Greenwood Cemetery. He was also a real estate mogul. If you count one duplex that was still standing only because the left half was leaning against the right half. I didn't say Stanley was stupid, but he let Billy move in rent-free in exchange for fixing up the place. Let's hear it by applause if anybody here's a landlord. You know how that went then. Billy moved in a carload of cockroaches. Actually, that's not true. It was worse. He moved in Dawn, his girlfriend. At least I think that's what was under all those tattoos. They were so wrinkled it was hard to tell. No wonder she was a chain smoker. Anybody here smoke any chains? I never saw Billy. He lived in government housing. Don called it jail. But she had a winning smile, if you count 3 teeth. They made an excellent cigarette holder. She could puff away right through a Kansas tornado. Oh, you young people, that's the same movie. Scarecrow and the little dog. Her pride and joy was not the big screen TV she had blaring all the time. It was the long extension cord she used to plug it in at the neighbors. She was fancy though. She had a curved shower rod attached to the outside of the house because nothing worked inside. So her daughter, yes, she moved her in too, could use the garden hose. I learned a lot about white trash that summer. When I was a kid, Mother used to always say, "Louis, hold your horses." Of course, then in the 70s, during the space age, it was cool your jets. And what do you say nowadays if you want people to slow down? Take a chill pill, chill out.
Shut up.
Shut up. Chill out, yeah. Slow your roll. Or if you go to Hawaii, you want to remember Hakuna your tatas. Now, you don't understand that. Let me interpret that. That means don't have a rack attack. And some of you don't understand that. That means calm your tits. Well, somewhere between the horses and the jets, it was hold the phone. Now I need to explain to the young people that's singular because there was only one and it was fastened to the house with a wire. Today means something entirely different. It means, hey, here, hold my phone and watch my video. Oh, don't hold it like that. You might send it into Telephone Never Neverland. Oh, don't hold it by the side. It might send it to the mode to explode. So you have to cradle it on the top of your hand. How many have done that, dropped it, and broken the screen? I do it watching too much porn. And you people are great. I'm sure glad I came. And I'm sure glad you came. And then there's the way I held my first grandchild. All it took was 10 seconds for me to understand crazy grandparents. Let's hear it if you're a crazy grandparent. All right. We're proud of it. But there's other ways to hold grandkids. This one leaks. Here, Mommy, stinky baby. Or when they get a little older. I hate ceiling fans. Last week I lost 3. They still run, but they're unbalanced. The fans are the grandkids. Take your pick. There's some things I just don't understand. I don't understand. Well, let's try this. I don't use this very often. You might understand it. I don't understand why they make the backs of TVs all black. It's dark as midnight back there. And when you try to hook up your equipment, it's like plugging your hard pin into a black hole. When you get the wrong hole, you say, "Oh, I meant to do it that way." And if you're from San Francisco, you aim for the wrong hole. Because you like it that way. And I don't understand why Sony put such crummy keyboards on their computers. I had a Sony laptop, and the keyboard would randomly duplicate letters or leave them out. And I was in the Dominican Republic, it left out the L, and I was in the Dominican Republic. Now, there went my reputation, like I had one. I sent my daughter an email. I just got booked for 3 minutes at Harrah's showroom. She said, "Sorry about Harrah's, Dad." I read the email. It left out the K, and I had written, "I just got booed for 3 minutes." Well, I don't understand why Kindle, when I bought a book, why did Kindle call it the hardcover edition? How can that be when there's no cover? And how can it be hard when the book is software? Nothing about this body gets hard. Ever. Well, I take it back. One thing in the morning keeps getting harder and harder. Getting out of bed. I just sort of roll out onto the floor. I went to Maui kiteboarding. Now you wonder what that is. Well, that's an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Are you agreeing with me? Oh, come on.
Pacific.
The Pacific Ocean, yes. You'd be surprised how many people, how many veterans don't catch it or they're too timid, they don't want to. Anyway, thank you very much. Give them a hand. Yay, got their hand. It's the Pacific Ocean. Oh yes, kiteboarding is where you're flying a huge kite while it's pulling you on a wakeboard or a surfboard. All we want is wind. No, not that kind. I saw an 85-year-old guy getting a kiteboard lesson. I took care of him, and now I'm the oldest surviving kiteboarder. Unfortunately, we didn't have the usual wind, so I did a lot of SUP. SUP. You can tell I like initials. SUP, stand-up paddleboarding. As opposed to what I do up here, SUP. You're laughing too hard. SUC, stand-up comedy. I'm trying to decide who's going to put it. You're probably going to put a K on it.
Oh, that right there.
Well, it was challenging for me. The first challenge was to get the 12-foot board across the beach into the sand. And it went pretty well until I got stuck in the sand with my little electric rascal scooter. So I decided to hold the board sideways, and that went pretty well until I took out a mother breastfeeding a baby, who was offending an old man, until I took him out. Solved that social dilemma. Well, then I decided to hold the board under my arm and use the handle. They shouldn't call it a handle, it's so tiny, and there'd be a switch to call it a fingal. But at least I'd have the other hand for scratching and holding the paddle. When I finally got the board down into the water, my challenge was to go from my knees to standing up. And it looked something like this. Thanks for the nice clean carpet. I should have had a walker. I did get away from a lifeguard. Hey, get out of here. This beach is closed to old men with great big boards and little tiny Speedos. I really did catch a wave there. On the Kahului Harbor, I rode that little wave 561 feet. To catch that wave, it took me 2 years. And my nurse never caught me. Well, flying back to Phoenix, my home in Phoenix from Hawaii, I got very well acquainted with the airline bathrooms. And it's like Boeing engineers said, let's measure people and make our bathrooms 3 inches smaller. And then they situate it so that the wall's curved. You have to stand like this to be in position. And you're really out of space if you're a young guy with a boner. Gives a whole different meaning to hitting the wall. And then the faucets have no delay on the water faucets, so trying to get your hands under the faucet while you're still getting water, well, you're not going to get there in time, kind of like the last time you had diarrhea. And then the paper towel holder opening is narrower than the paper towels, and they pack them in so tight you're guaranteed to get confetti. And the spring door on the waist door, that's extra, remember. The waist door is so strong you get the confetti back in your face. And then when it comes time to leave your private throne room, you notice the door opens in, which means you have even less space than you started with. And they rub it in with a note that says pull, which means you have to touch the place that everybody else has touched after they've touched their stuff. Well, for me it looks something like this. Do you know what I just did? You weren't looking. I just raised the toilet seat. And I wouldn't have had to because I'm in this bathroom by myself. Nobody would have known. Besides, it's an imaginary bathroom. And I'm going to raise the toilet seat again, and I want to hear some whooping applause, cheering, or something from you ladies. Thank you very much. I usually have one guy who applauses during that time. I didn't this time. You're lucky because I asked you, whose side are you on? So anyway, continuing with the story. You can't rush a good thing. You'll have to change this visual if you're a lady.
No, no.
Or from San Francisco. Or a daddle. You know what a daddle is? Don't ask, don't tell. The flesh is so violent the toilet paper blows in the wind. No, not that kind. That was the person before me. Well, my next trip was the opposite direction. Went on a road trip to the Outer Banks. Let's hear about applause if you've heard of the Outer Banks. Well, then we'll keep going. How many have heard of Hatteras Island? Kitty Hawk. The Wright brothers. Airplanes. All located together off the coast of North Carolina with some of the best kiteboarding winds in the world. Now I noticed something that, yeah, and your name is?
Dana.
No, your name.
Elsa.
Elsa. Elsa, I asked for an applause. And you did this.
New York.
Oh, you're from New York?
Yes.
Okay, well, no wonder then. Don't worry, I got the mayor of Billings, Montana at a fundraiser for the same thing. But I need to inform you that an applause takes two hands and makes noise. And explain that to the people when you get back in New York. There on Hatteras Island, where there wasn't enough wind for me and to kiteboard with my friend Tim, we went SUP, stand-up paddleboarding. Well, I was barely able to balance on my board. He was on his doing yoga for the flexibility. Show off. That's your by applause if you've done any yoga.
Oh, horse, yeah.
Okay. and your name?
Which one? Bridget. Bridget.
Bridget? Namaste. Now, when she gets through with the giggles, she will say namaste to me.
Oh, she will.
Now, let me explain. Let me explain to you people that are not into yoga. That's yoga speak for howdy, partner. I know about this yoga stuff because on the Outer Banks, I took my first yoga class for the view of the ocean. Turned out the class was inside with the lights out. But I didn't know that yoga could give me such a crick in the neck. Must have been all that spandex. Heather, our instructor, said, just relax. Well, she had us holding the 2x4. Now, you yoga types call that the plank position. That's like me telling you to relax with one foot at the dock and the other on the boat. I go down further, but I hurt myself. Or maybe drag him on the floor. The hardest for me to hold was the doggy style. You yoga types call that the downward facing dog. I called it arms torture. That wasn't all I had to hold. I had a determined methane bubble that desperately wanted to reach the atmosphere. Most of you, those of you who don't know what that is, that's a fart. And now, this is the educational section, has the science background coming in. But in the Air Force, if you're in the tight quarters of a cockpit, occasionally you need to signal to the other crew members it's time to hold their breath. So you say, howdy. And that is a sign to hold your breath because something's coming your way. With concerted effort, I was able to hold it. Not the doggy style. I wasn't the only one with a pesky methane bubble. Someone else let one escape. And it was a minimal displacement, extended duration, high amplitude expulsion. You call that a long, loud, unless you're from McGehee, then they call it a toot. At the end of class, after class, Heather had us on her back. She came around and used some smelly stuff to massage my head. This one.
Fix the ass.
Some of you are disgusting. I just hope she didn't mess up my hair. That was a joke. Because this hair is a joke. What should be going out here is going out my ears. At least it keeps the bugs out. My ex says, keeps the bugs in with all the craziness. I have what I call the National Geographic hairdo. It's 3 peninsulas. And the center peninsula is slowly becoming an island a grass island with less and less grass on it. Some of you know what it is. Some of you, well, we won't go into that. You're good guys.
Work.
I was gonna say go for it.
You guys are awesome.
Go for it.
Whoops.
I
remember.
yeah. There's something new I was going to try, and I don't remember what it was, so we'll just go to the stuff. Let's hear it by applause if you read instructions. All right, let's hear it by applause if you save boxes. And the rest of you, it's time to start reading the instructions because they always say, save the box. So back home in Phoenix, I have boxes for printer, office chair, mother-in-law. I'm getting so many boxes I may have to move out of my house into a box, which is going to be difficult with a mother-in-law. That's not true. We already moved her out in her own pine box. Well, to interpret to you, that means she's dead. Well, I'm dying. Yeah, well, you are too. Hopefully after I do. Have you ever noticed how we try to sugarcoat death? He's gone to greener pastures. Not even a cow. Pushing daisies. I'm going to be pushing dandelions and weeds. Gone to be with the Lord. Some of my family's pretty sure I'm not in that category. We also try to sugarcoat on the way to death. You know, we used to send Grandma to the old folks' home. Well, they decided people might think they're getting old, which we are, not to face it, but let's call it the senior center. Then after about 20 years, they said, well, that might make people feel old, send them to the senior center. So now they have the Dare County Older Adult Center. Now, when I get sent away, they'll probably send me to the Older Toddler Center. I'll toddle in, toddle back out. But when I was a kid, I'm sold, we sent Grandma to the corner of the cave. That never gets a laugh, and I can't figure out why. Water. I do plan to live a long time. On my 100th birthday, I plan to still be in the game. Although by then I won't know what game. And I'm sure I won't know the score. But I'll still be on the bottom. But I'll have company, along with the Cleveland Browns. For me, all it will take is about 650 million heartbeats. Now, for you young people, it'll take 1 billion heartbeats if you forget to pull out. Of course, we're always trying to still figure out how to get in the first place. Just ask Dana. We can talk about her since she left. You can tell her when she left. As soon as she left, we talked about her.
Keep going.
These pink slips on the table, if you're interested in
I don't think you're fired.
being on my if you want to be on my email list, I'll only let you know when I'm going to be in this area. Send you an email. I send at the most 6 emails a year. And please print so I can read it at midnight when I put it in my computer. But if you want to, fill one of those out. And if you don't, well, that's okay too. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Let's see, we were talking about pulling out. Oh, I try to be healthy, try to eat right. Now, I don't understand why one of the healthy foods is flax, because it contains omega-3 fatty acids. Doesn't that sound like it would leave you mostly dead? I got a hold of some string beans that were so stringy by the time I finished eating them, I'd already flossed my teeth. I don't know what this hip movement has to do with it. I stopped by Walmart. I don't park close to the door so I can stir up my tired blood as I run in for a few things. After I made my selection, I was running back to my car, and the kid said, "Hey, Grandpa, how come you're running so fast?" "Well, you would be too, son, if you've been shoplifting."
Thank you.
String beans. Also stopped by the gym, and I have a whole bunch of gyms I can go to across the country, and always enjoy it. And I went to Gold's Gym this time, and it was neat to go to a gym where the locker room smelled like a locker room. At the gym, I've had to quit doing the bench presses because they bolted them all down. I can tell, sir, you haven't pressed any benches. I've had a terrible time getting the 45-pound dumbbells home. Put one, you know, the free weights. Put one of those in my gym bag. I get so unbalanced. My ex would say, "Lou, you've always been unbalanced." I thought about putting one in each hand. But wouldn't it look suspicious leaving the gym with 2 gym bags? And I couldn't run. I recognized the equipment from when I was a kid during the Spanish Inquisition. Now, see, 3 of you here are historians. You know that was 650 years ago. Always have to explain that to people from New Jersey.
She's close.
Oh, when I was interested in some agony, who'd seen some agony when I was a kid, I'd say, "Hey, I'm going to go down to the dungeon and visit the Inquisitor." For some of you, that might be a new word. But you do strange things. Say, "I'm going to go down the street and visit my chiropractor or my personal trainer." For some of you, that might be a new word too. And inquisitors put bodies in impossible positions. Well, we call it inquisition. You call it torture or yoga. Have you ever noticed from the pictures back then that the guy stretched out on the rack always had a little white cloth covering just the right spot? I was the towel boy. Hey, don't stretch him out yet. I've got the towel here. Hey, he couldn't help himself. He was having a bad day until I came along. I was his absolute high point. Oh, I forgot, he was black. You're probably wondering what kind of guy would think of stuff like that. Well, tonight is my 1200, I think my 1277th show, something like that. Thank you very much. And that just proves how good I am at counting.
I love it.
And I've done comedy in 5 countries in 50 states. My last state was Alaska.
Wow.
That was cool. I did my first show in a field. Well, due to COVID-19. So that was cool. In Alaska. But that was my Woodstock. A lot less people, but that was my first show. So that was cool. So all that means that, well, I never said I was funny, but I've been busy. All in 7 years. Well, I didn't always go by Arizona Lou. My name's Lewis. And before 1912, I went by Territory Lou. I need to explain to some of you that's when Arizona became a state. I need to explain that to people from New Jersey too. But before that, I went by Caveman Lou. These keep coming, and they get worse. Before that, Ditch Lou. I told you they'd get worse. Then after grew and grew, Grand Canyon Lou. And before that, Jurassic Lou. Now, some of you probably think I'm from ancient history. I always had trouble with history. Probably started in social studies in junior high, where I was always distracted by a out-of-control boner. I need to explain to some of you millennials and modern people, it was my own.
I wonder.
Didn't help that the fashion in those days was tight blue jeans. No, Miss Perkins, don't make me stand up. Oh, the answer is wood. Row. Now, Lois, you know that's not right. Longfellow. Now, Lois, you're going to have to pay more attention. But Miss Perkins, you don't know how hard it is. Spring is busting out all over. Oh, some of you have seen my minivan parked out here. That's my home away from home. That's why I can afford these trips, 4-month trips. And you've never seen a minivan with an office, pantry, refrigerator, running water, ceiling fan, and electricity, but it's all in there. But I don't want you to believe what you hear about the old guy in a white minivan. Because I don't have candy. And I haven't lost a puppy. Because I don't have one. Or biting, barking, chewing, pooping, peeing, or petting. Well, not petting that kind of puppy. With today's technology, I could get lots of kids. Hey, I've got free Wi-Fi. Unlimited data. Privacy windows. Oh, I see you broke your screen. I can fix it, but you'll have to get in line. Man, these are jokes.
Baby.
I could get so many kids I'd have to beat them off.
Well, I wasn't supposed to got that joke.
And I'm not a priest. I don't know how I'm going to leave this world.
And a cop.
I hope I leave this world laughing, and going as fast as I can. Having fun.
I'm not going.
Hey, you'd walk this way too if you lost your balls.
You didn't have any.
I'm glad you came back. I was afraid you lost you for a while. I want my obituary to read something like, Arizona Lou died in an avalanche of boxes. Let's hear it by applause if you can drive a stick shift.
Hey, yeah.
Do I need to explain to you what I explained to her? An applause takes two hands.
Hey, Arizona Lou, we haven't left Texas out.
Texas is here.
Texas is here.
You can pick on her too now.
Don't listen.
I'll consider that. Well, I'm glad you can drive a stick shift, but I'm not talking about a boner.
Now you're jealous.
While we're on the subject, I volunteered for a clinical study of Viagra. In Virginia at the University of Longwood. Helping out with science gave me a really good feeling. I expected it to be a lot harder. It was one of those double-blind studies. Even the researchers didn't know who was coming. They put us in hospital gowns. We looked like Tent City. I was the only one without a rigid tent pole. You're laughing now, wait till you get my age. Imagine propping your tent up with one of those things you get from Dollar Tree, a fun noodle. Wasn't fun. We were bored stiff. Well, I'm 79, I was just bored. We played Monopoly until one of the guys knocked all the pieces off the board. And when we tried Happy Sack, we got real testy. And it was a real disaster when we tried target practice. And our version of tag was Pokemon. Go! I hated it. I didn't have a good poker. The other guys hated my favorite. Twister! We appreciated it when the researchers gave us a shake break. They also gave us homework. And one of the guys says, "Hey Doc, can we help each other out?" "Well, let me look." So it has to be hands-on. Self-service. No double headers.
You never know.
You know, I could hang out at the microphone and leave, and you guys would just carry on by yourselves.
All good.
Well, that's when I learned you don't need special expensive stuff if you go to Dollar Tree and use their hairstyling gel. No, not in the store. If I've been Catholic, after each session, I need confession. And the priest would give me a dishonorable discharge. You know, at my age, it's hard for me to stand erect. And during the study, I couldn't keep up. One of the doctors said, "Lou, you're all nuts." He accused me of being a swinger. He's got to keep ventilated. So he told me to just beat it. So I quit. You're right, Dan. So I quit the study without giving them any bona fide data. You know, I can't believe I just spent 6 minutes talking about the stick shift. Or like some guys, they call it their hot rod. Well, I've got something in my pants. It's about 6 inches long. I don't believe it. It's hard.
Show and tell.
Patience, my young lady, patience. It's red on the tip. It's what's inside it that gives it its functionality. I can spin it around. I'm so talented I can hold it and at the same time blow it. This isn't dirty, it's clean. I washed it today. Lots. Let's hear it by applause if you want me to pull it out of my pants right now. Let's hear it by applause if you don't want to see it.
Pull it out!
Sir,
Let him down.
you didn't applaud either time. I know this is a tough decision for you.
Let him down. Let him down.
All right, if you don't want to see it, hide your eyes on 3. 1, 2, 3. You're peeking. Stick with your standards.
What standards?
This is an anemometer. You people are disgusting. The spinning magnets inside register the wind on your cell phone. It's good for flying kites, sailing, stand-up comedy.
Or blow it.
Volunteers there. Do it, you're really good at it.
Hey, give her a hand.
What's your score? What's your score?
I won't tell anybody what you just did. Of course, I won't need to.
That's the new original blowjob.
I had voice surgery, and sometimes my voice goes up high, and it's really embarrassing. Imagine doing comedy with this voice that sounds like Martha Stewart. And on the telephone, about once a week, I'll answer the phone and someone will say, "How can I help you, ma'am?" One day I said, "Hello, may I please speak to the man of the house?" "I am the man." Or worse yet, "Hello, are your parents home?" "Yes, They're up on the mantle. They told me in life to earn everything. Hey, you people are great. I enjoyed being here. You're fantastic. And it's been about an hour and I'm still alive. Thank you very much.